Enough?
Sorry.
Okay. Oh, my name is Luther Moore. I'm your district governor. This club has a past district governor, Bill Wilson, who did an excellent job as district governor, who's been a good friend and mentor to me. What Todd didn't say is I'm a native of Iredell County. I was born here because that's where the hospital is, but I'm really from Harmony out in the northern end. I asked somebody down at the Troutman Club if they knew where Harmony was, and they got it like a deer in the headlights look. It turns out they had just moved to Troutman from New Mexico. So they knew where Albuquerque was where they were from. But every Rotarian belongs to a club, and every club belongs to a district. And our district is 7680. It encompasses 14 counties, running from the South Carolina line all the way up to the Virginia line. Goes down Tuesday I was in Hamlet. Next week I'll be up in Sparta and Jefferson. Those are the northern clubs. Hamlet is the easternmost club. In the west it's Bowling Springs, although clubs in Lincoln County and Hickory are not in the district. Taylorsville is. Wilkes County is. And then we have Iredell, Mecklenburg, Union, Stanley, Rowan. Did I get everything? We've forgotten words in it. We have basically, as of this morning when I checked, or last night, we have about 2,860 some Rotarians in the district. Of our 58, there are 58 clubs. And with one club being organized, if you're interested in something on Monday evening at 5:30, if you're down in Huntersville, at the Huntersville Happy Hour Rotary Club. It meets at Dressler's in Burkdale. So that's a makeup meeting. And the crowd that's in that club, yes, they're a happy hour club. No ifs, ands, or buts. But there are 32,000 plus Rotary districts in the world. Slightly over 1.2 million Rotarians. I think it's actually at 1,204,000 some odd numbers. Our district belongs to a zone going up next, and we're zone 33, and in that we are partnered with North and South Carolina, a little sliver of East Tennessee, Virginia, Delaware, Maryland, and West Virginia. We're paired to Zone 34 for the purpose of electing a Rotary director. Zone 34 is Georgia, Florida, the Caribbean, and some parts of South America. Our Rotary director, serving her second year, is Ann Matthews from Columbia. So this year our director is from Zone 33. She is also the first woman to be a vice president of Rotary International. In addition to serving as a director of Rotary International, she has also been a member of the board of directors of the Rotary Foundation. So as a practical thing, she's done pretty much everything in Rotary except be president. She, I guess, could be the first female president. Now, why am I here? That's a good question. Because I represent Ron Burton, who is the president of Rotary International. I'm officially the officer of Rotary in the district. Or as somebody said today that Ron Burton died, eventually, if enough people passed away in front of me, maybe I would be president. I question that, but that's how they introduced me. Ron Burton, each year a Rotary president selects a theme. And some of you probably have seen the theme. Don't see the theme banner in here. I think it may be out there. But it's Engage Rotary, Change Lives. Ron Burton is a longtime Rotarian from Norman, Oklahoma. He's retired from the University of Oklahoma, and he does bleed Oklahoma orange, or whatever they have. Red. He's a very partisan. In fact, his Rotary tie is red because it matches Oklahoma colors, I think. But he chose this theme, Engage Rotary, Change Lives, because he strongly believes that Rotary has the impact to make a lot of change in the world. And how do we do that? President Todd ran through a list of your projects for the first 6 months of this year. They're very impressive. You've got some hands-on stuff in there. You've got some stuff to raise some money with. And what happens is as you engage in those activities, you change the lives of people and organizations who benefit from that. But in doing so, you also change your life, because it will, if you participate in things, you'll find that your life will be different, will be improved. For example, this club sponsored a student at the Seminar for Tomorrow's Leaders program at Catawba College in July. And that's an excellent thing to do. That program is I view it as our signature project in this district. One of the goals of Rotary, as I see it, is to help train our next generation of Rotarians and community and civic leaders for Statesville, for Iredell County, or from wherever you're a Rotarian. That Seminar for Tomorrow's Leaders program is based on a curriculum developed by the Center for Creative Leadership in Greensboro, which is probably the premier leadership program, well, probably one of the top 5 in the United States. For what cost us about $475 to send a student, you as an executive would probably cost you $10,000, depending on what program you were in. Their program is modeled on the other programs that they offer. Now, where I'm challenging you all to become involved, in addition to sponsoring a student, is that Rotarians participate in that as mentors. This year there were 17 Rotarians there, males, females, older Rotarians, younger Rotarians, and the ones I've talked to, a couple from West Stanley, husband and wife, they were there, and the husband told me, I benefited from this more than I think the kids did, from interacting, participating in the exercises, the training, as well as the cross interchange with the students. So you learn a little bit about what the next generation is, and they learn about you, so they gain from you. So I would encourage somebody in this club to go to Catawba next year as a mentor. And that would be a good challenge. The same thing is, we talked about possibly organizing an Interact Club, or partnering with another Rotary Club to sponsor an Interact Club, and that gives you another opportunity for hands-on. So President Ron's challenge, Engage Rotary, Change Lives, is a real challenge. I think it's an excellent theme, and you all are well on the way to helping to execute that for this Rotary year. Bill Wilson and I had the opportunity, along with a bunch of other people from our district, to go to Lisbon to the Rotary International Convention. We had 27 Rotarian spouses, children in Lisbon from our district. The big thing out of Lisbon is polio. You all are probably aware that since the 80s, Rotary has been leading the way in the eradication of polio in the world. Polio project got started by one Rotarian. One person can make a difference in the Philippines. And it grew, was ultimately adopted by Rotary International as a project. Sort of everybody, I think, laughed at why you can't eradicate polio. But as it went further, other organizations joined, UNICEF, World Health Organization, Center for Disease Control, now foundations such as the Gates Foundation have helped. And it's down, a couple of years ago, polio was eradicated in India. There are 3 types of polio virus, 2 of the 3 are gone, but one is still outstanding. The problem is that where polio is left, and it's endemic in Nigeria, Afghanistan, and Pakistan, with some recent cases arising in Kenya, Somalia, and I think in the very rural areas of China. Why do they come? Because people move. They think the Kenya and Somalia may have been spread by people infected with the virus from Pakistan or from Nigeria. Earlier this year in Dubai, there was a World Institute or a World Conference on polio. All the players I mentioned, plus other players such as foreign countries, individuals got together and developed a 5-year plan to eradicate polio in the world. The cost is $5.5 billion. They raised $4 billion in pledges and cash at that week conference. A Rotarian from Nigeria put $1 million on the table himself personally. Now, why do we need it? Nigeria, Afghanistan, Pakistan are very tough places. In the last 6 months, or the last year for sure, polio vaccination workers have been murdered because that's what they were doing for different reasons in different countries. And so it's very dangerous. It's in areas in which you don't want to go to, very difficult to go to. I've read that in order to kill the polio virus, you have to administer the oral polio vaccine 3 times. So that's a lot of intensive labor. They did it in India, and the cases are basically gone now. That was a really tough country. Parts of Nigeria was going down several years ago on the slope of cases. But the word got out that if a male baby took the oral vaccine, that the baby would become sterile. And you might guess that no one took the oral vaccine for some period of time. As a result, guess what? Cases went back up. The political leadership in Nigeria has adopted this as a project. The president has taken the oral polio vaccine himself publicly. He has administered it publicly on what they call national vaccination days, where you, in essence, go door to door, knock on the door, got any kids, get them out, administer the oral vaccine, mark their finger with a purple dye, because the kids like to come back and take it the second and third time. And they'll do it the same day, so they have to mark them. As a result, polio cases in Nigeria are starting to decline. In Afghanistan, interestingly enough, the Taliban has seen polio eradication as positive. And hopefully that will cause cases to decline there. And in Pakistan, because the areas of Pakistan that are infected are bordered with Afghanistan. Now, why does this matter to you as Rotarians in Statesville, or Charlotte, or in Asheville, or West Jefferson, or wherever? I suspect, besides Bill and I, there are people in this room who've traveled internationally in the last year or two. When you travel, you bring back illnesses, or can bring back illnesses. You can be a polio carrier and be infected and never get the disease. That's why they think it ended up in Kenya and Somalia. Somebody went from Pakistan or Nigeria and carried it. We've broken, Feroz Para, who's our district foundation chair, and I have broken the goal of polio down. Rotary's share is $35 million per year of that $5.5 billion. Broken down on a per capita basis per Rotarian in our district, it's $40 per Rotarian. We're asking each club to give, donate, raise $40 per member. I guess could be done by one member or each member by 40. But what we're really doing is encouraging each club to do a fundraising event for polio. Why? First, it raises awareness of polio. Second, it raises some money. Third, it's a hands-on opportunity for Rotarians to be engaged and ultimately do good for people he'll never see. And so that's why we're encouraging that. It's $40. Some clubs wrote the check for their club. I got a $1,000 check from one club earlier this month. But there are different ways of doing it, and we encourage you to meet this challenge of $35 million. Now, the big news, again, out of Lisbon, is that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation issued a challenge to Rotary. If Todd gives $1, the Gates Foundation will match that with $2. Now, if Todd writes a big check and meets the whole Rotary goal, but $35 million, the Gates Foundation will put up $70 million. So it's a 2-for-1 match up to $35 million. This is like the third, maybe at least the second, maybe the third matching challenge from the Gates Foundation. Rotary so far has oversubscribed the earlier ones, and we hope to do the same thing and eradicate polio entirely from the face of earth. If so, it will be the second illness to have been eradicated. I think smallpox was eradicated in 1979. Now, to go into a little bit more about polio in our district, on November the 11th, there will be the District Foundation Banquet in Charlotte at the Charlotte Plaza West Park. It used to be the Marriott West Park at Tavola and 77. Our speaker will be a young man in his mid-30s who I met in Lisbon, had talked to him on the phone before, named Ramesh Faris, F-E-R-R-I-S. You can Google him. If you Google him, you'll probably see come up first a picture of he and a bunch of other people, but the main focus of the picture is this young lady in India who was the last child in India to contact polio. Ramesh Faris is a native of India. At age 2, he contracted polio. He lost both of his legs from the knees down. He was adopted by a couple from Canada and has lived there since then. He lives in the Yukon. He works, but he also is passionate about talking about his experience with polio. And he goes worldwide making speeches. It took me 4 dates to get a date firmed up with him, because one is the man, and two, the last date he changed on me because he was receiving an award for what he's done. Couldn't go tell him, you got to come to Charlotte instead of getting your award. So we kept moving the date, and we had it. I did meet him in Lisbon. He's very nice. He's a dynamic speaker from everyone has told me that has heard him. So I would encourage you to come on November the 11th. Registration is open on the district database. Now, we anticipate this event will sell out. The Rotary Foundation dinner last year in Concord sold out, and we have a limited number of seats, and we think they will be going early, so I encourage you to register. What else is happening in the Rotary world? Our district is the host district for the first ever Zone $1 million plus fundraiser. Now, what's this all about? Again, it's Rotary Foundation, and that's sort of what Rotary is all about, doing good. And we help do good through the Rotary Foundation. On October the 19th, it's a Saturday evening, there will be a foundation recognition dinner in Charlotte. It's zone-based. Remember all the states I mentioned: West Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, East Tennessee, Virginia, North and South Carolina. Rotarians who, from the period July 1 through October the 10th, who give or pledge $10,000, we would like to have $10,000 to the Rotary Foundation. That can be done by cash, or it can be done by paying a third of it this year and paying the other 2/3 in two coming years. Or you can do it by joining the Bequest Society. Bequest Society is if you name the Rotary Foundation in your will for a minimum of $10,000 or more, or you can do it by using life insurance and name Rotary as a beneficiary of $10,000 or more under a life insurance policy. People who do that in this time frame will be recognized at the dinner. Ron Burton, the international president, will be speaking, as well as Ann Matthews, the international vice president. The aim is to build up the endowment of the Rotary Foundation so we can do more good. Contributions can be designated to the annual fund, to polio, to the peace centers. We have some people in this district who are very strong supporters of the Peace Center. We have one in North Carolina, a combination of Duke Chapel Hill program. Or it can go to, you can set up a donor advised trust through the Rotary Foundation, or you can designate it to the Rotary 6 areas of emphasis on the foundation, things like literacy, education, economic development, water, things like that. So that's a key thing. Now also, to back up a little bit, and I laid a little bit of a flyer on the table, and you'll be getting emails if you haven't gotten it, about a carts fundraiser that is going on in Charlotte on the 23rd at the saloon at the North Carolina Music Factory. It's to benefit the carts is coined for Alzheimer's Research Trust, which provides basic research grants to try to help cure Alzheimer's or find a cure for it. It's a country music deal. Now, why are we in the country music business? Because there's a Rotarian down in Fort Mill named Barbara Ivy, who for several years, somehow she is connected pretty significantly to Nashville. That musicians, songwriters will come to her home periodically, play. She invites her friends. There's no charge, but there's a cart bucket at the front door. Now, if that bucket isn't full, she's not happy. This weekend, August 23rd, is her 50th birthday. And she invited two of her musician friends who are coming to play at her birthday party to come early, and they're playing for free on the night of the 23rd at the Music Factory, which is near downtown Charlotte. The Music Factory is not charging cart for the space. They'll make their money on selling you beer and stuff like that and food. The cost is $10 if you sign up on the district website, $20 at the door. All the gate goes to the Cart Foundation. Of course, the aim is to have a huge crowd, and hopefully people will choose to donate more than $10 or $20. Now, the musicians, I'd never heard of them, but I looked them up. And they're basically, they play, but they're songwriters as well. And they have written, both of them, for people like Kenny Chesney, Garth Brooks. So that caught my attention. So these are apparently well known in Nashville in the songwriting end, but they're also musicians as well. So we encourage you all to come, or if you know country music friends who might be interested, they're welcome as well. It's being marketed in our district, also in the upstate South Carolina district, where Fort Mill is. In addition, Barbara has an email list of country music fans, which I've been told exceed 500. So hopefully this will be a very strong event for Carts. We're also encouraging each club to do an event for Carts. Same philosophy as Poland. Raise your contributions, increase awareness of it, perhaps partner with someone, another organization. I found out why Taylorsville is the #1 club in raising for carts, because what they raise, they partner with 3 businesses in Taylorsville who will match whatever they raise. And that's why they're #1 in the district in carts fundraising. I have told the Taylorsville people that I'm challenging every club in the district to beat them. So we're going to raise the bar on Taylorsville, and I hope you guys will put a little pressure on them too this year. I think it's a little after 1. Those are the key things that are happening in the district. We talked about some other things coming up in the board meeting. You all have a strong club. It appears you've got a very strong leadership team with President Todd, and I hope you will support him. And most of all, I challenge you to be engaged in Rotary and to change lives in this community and in the world as to how you do so. Thank you very much.